Hello friends and welcome. So in this video we're going to talk about something that I rarely talk about, which is the overarching, the higher level goals of my system. Because what I tend to do is make videos about a particular topic which is quite compartmentalized. Compartmentalized. That's what I wanted to say. And pretty concise, so that when you read the title of the video, you're looking for a topic, you're searching, you can find it, and then the video that you'll find is hopefully pretty concise. It deals with what the topic is describing, and you don't have to wait through 30 minutes of babble to get to the point and find your stuff that you were actually looking for. So, however, that style of video has one huge downside, and that it doesn't really allow, within that conciseness, to look at the overall picture, the bigger picture, the zooming out, the helicopter view, if you will. So, in this video, I'm going to talk about the higher level view that I'm operating under, and which is the context to everything that I'm doing, because a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is just experiments, and you see this, stuff like this, like weird speaker like this. With basically a diffraction horn sticking out of a speaker, which has distortion, which is not ideal, and yet it does something that I'm trying to accomplish. Now, the one thing that is very different from my system, this current system, and what my current goals, is almost the diametrical opposite of what I started with. And what I started with was a tube amplifier driving a pair of quad ESL 55s. Now, I'll put a picture hopefully up, so you see those are electrostats with made long time ago, but they're still world class. They have a bit of a falling bottom end. They're very hard to drive, but they absolutely have unbelievably small distortion, and they're within the range that they're good for. And they're a very interesting experience to listen to. It's very it's an amazing speaker still to listen to compared to a lot of speakers out there. However, it is very much like having headphones on, and it can only be really listened to by one, maybe two people at the same time, because the speaker is so beaming. And if you then go to what my speaker is, my audio system at the moment, and probably for the rest of my life, is targeting, we'll see. Well, we have a cat wanting to come on. What my speaker is trying to target is actually having a omnipresent sound field in the room that is consistent throughout the room as much as possible. And it needs to have this effortless that I sort of associate with what if any of you went to a club that is not running yet, and they just have, you go in there in the afternoon or in a live venue, and they're just playing a bit of music, and it's at a low volume, and there is something tingling in the air. You have the bass and all the other music. It's just effortless. It's not loud, but it's effortless, and it's omnipresent. And this is one of those experiences that also, if you go to live music and the venue is really good, you got the sort of the same effect, like you got a lot of reverberant field of music that is just surrounds you. And it has to do, if you look up the science around that, it has to do with the proportion of indirect sound. But to my style, it also has to do with low distortion, and it also has to do with perhaps even the audio equipment running at its ideal lowest distorting volume, because there is just something going on that makes it very credible, very pleasant. It is relatively loud without being obnoxious, without distorting, without feeling loud, but it's louder than you expect it to be. And it's the same everywhere. Like, yes, you have some variety as you walk through a venue, but the pervasiveness is actually reasonably consistent if it's done well and the venue is done well. Now that's exactly what I'm after here. And so I've moved to a mono system for this thing. And one of the things, just to explain a part of this here in this setup here, is that this horn actually causes mouth diffraction. But if you can't listen into the horn like you would if you would actually be staring into it, your eyes actually can hear the direct reflections of the mouth, you will hear that it has the typical horn sound. However, as you move to the side, about 95% of that sound, 90% of that sound character disappears because you can't hear the direct reflection. And then in the overall reverberant field, it goes back to being quite a natural type of sound. Now, the lower registers don't have this issue at all because sort of under 500, I think I'm crossing over at the moment at, well, it's a sliding scale, but it's 650 hertz, it starts dipping down. It's not as obvious, and especially I think by increasing the surface area, I've also accomplished something that just makes the lower registers quite devoid of a source point. And this is something also with the horn, what I was just talking about. One of the things that I noticed is by having a pervasive sound to the room, what you don't want, because I noticed that in my hearing, that, or in our hearing probably, but that if you can localize the sound where it's coming from, I can hear that there is a sound producer and that it creates refractions. Here I can't. And so there is something about, in accomplishing my goals, that I need to make sure that the sound gets planted into the room without sort of directly giving my ears the clues that that I can localize where the sound is coming from. And now some of you have been following my channel might be aware that I have been making the point to saying that triggers your survival mechanism, and it's not what I'm looking for in my listening to music. If I want to be immersed in the music and the music takes over and I'm not thinking about anything, I need to make sure that I've taken care of too much distortions that point to reproduction, but I also need to remove localization, because a lot of our hearing has developed around localization and pinpointing where a danger is coming from. And that's why I think so much of musical energy lives under 500 hertz, because it is our safe zone. All of the stuff is speech, it is bass lines, most of the musical instruments, the fundamentals live there. So all the fundamentals, the majority of energy that is produced by a classical orchestra is actually living under 90% of the energy sits under 500 hertz. Now, partly that has to do with our hearing sensitivity, which is lower there, but it's my suspicion really that's why the music lives in those harmonic regions, because it won't trigger our survival mechanisms, and so we're unable to enjoy it. Anyway, in the overall setup of reproducing music, I find that if I'm staying out of those domains, then I can leave my rational thinking, constructing out of the way, and it forms a counterbalance to how I normally operate, and in a quite rational manner, hopefully. Cooking would be the same, where you're just joining flavors and so on. It's a feely thing. It's a blending thing. It's a perceptive of what things are, and you do the same a little bit with music. You can feel the artist intent, the way it's being played, the energy that is being put into it, and that's what you want to soak up. Yeah, really. Come on. You're going. So yes. So that's the wider picture in which my stereo system falls and what I'm trying to develop. And I think using a horn to connect your transducers hide their origin and just plant them on in a larger surface. So rather than having a small membrane, now I'm coupling here to a thing that is sort of a foot wide and half foot wide and a foot long or something, and it needs to probably be bigger and better shape to do an even better job. But I'm feeling that this is the right approach to what the projection that I'm after. Despite it not being ideal, I can hear that it's planting something in the room much better than it had before with an unloaded horn. And it's not so much that the horn can't deal with it, because this particular unit is pretty good in the low frequencies, because it's a 5-inch diaphragm. But anyhow, that's my video, just to fill you in on what I'm trying to achieve. And you'll see that hopefully in the next videos with further development of my amp, but also my speakers, hopefully a new speaker build if I can cobble the funds together for it. You'll see it moving into this direction a bit more clear and a bit more distinctly. Anyway, this is a topic that I haven't discussed that much when I'm sort of lifting out elements. I hope you still find this interesting. That's my goal in my system, pervasiveness for everybody that's in the room. And one of the side effects I can tell you already is that it doesn't matter where I am in the house or even outside. It will sound pretty much the same as it sounds here, because the sound varies so little, and it's being set in the room quite well. And there's a lot of improvement can be made. However, it's already displaying some characteristics that I hardly ever see in any of the normal audiophile systems that are far more image focused, where you have sort of a flat image, but it is also an image that I find is very fragile. So as soon as you move your head, you move from the side, or you move throughout the room, this whole illusion that most systems have is extremely fragile, falls down immediately as soon as you move out of the sweet spot. And this is why if non-audiophiles go to listen to a system, they're usually not impressed. They can tell within a split second that it's not the real thing. They find the whole thing like a sweet spot completely preposterous. That's not how they listen to music. It's not how they do their enjoyment in a special location. And you have to wonder, I think, is that why, if it takes such a religious form of enjoying music, and that is a form that actually doesn't exist, because imaging doesn't exist in the real world. It only exists in an audiophile system, really. You have to wonder, no wonder people are not engaging with that, but audiophiles that are used to that type of format and that type of enjoyment. And as I said, it's a valid form of enjoyment. If you enjoy it, you enjoy it. That's fine. But it's a completely unnatural thing. In no concert, live or acoustical or amplified, will you have that type of experience. There is no imaging in real life. It is hardly ever used. So anyway, that's why I'm moving to that direction that is not that, which is just a sort of a recreation of you are there type of projection, but it's a bit. Its goals are really pervasiveness and effortlessness, very highly consistent throughout the room. And still, so that the focus is actually not on projection, but on the music, the performance itself. It sort of is a one-on-one layer, hopefully, with how the air moves in the room in a credible way, akin to the live performance that was recorded. But then setting your own known acoustics. So anyway, that's it for this video. It's probably long enough. Thank you for tuning into my channel. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for all my not Patreons, fact. My Buy Me a Coffee supporters. Your donations are very much appreciated, and they do help a lot, and they also are just a nice encouragement that always makes me warm and fuzzy inside seeing those donations come in. It's just a really nice touch. So thank you for everybody that supports this channel. For anything else, any questions, you know where to put them, and I'll hope to catch you in the next video. Until then, Have a great week, have a great day, and hope to catch you soon. Bye bye.